completing the square. Now, I'm going to show you something else, and I want you to make a note of it. I'm going to go to YouTube, and I'm going to show you this weekend, if you want to get ahead, this is what I suggest. I suggest that you go to and do a search, Hubert McClure. And do a search and click on that and go to playlist and find the Math 110 last couple of semesters. Let's see, where is it? It's not VHO. Don't do VHO. VHO is virtual office hours. Right here. Math 110 2020-10. You need to write that down. Math 110-09 2020-10. Last fall. It was a year ago. Click on View Full Playlist. Now, do y'all see right here? Y'all see where it says Start Chapter 3 CTS, and there's 5 videos. See them? I would highly suggest that you watch these videos this weekend, especially if you suck at completing the square or have never heard of completing the square. How many of you have never heard of completing the square before? Anybody? How many of you suck at it? Pretty much all of you. I would build a bet. Now, I'm not saying the simple ones. The simple ones y'all probably know how to do. But the ones like right here on this number 5, Roman numeral 5, you know, you might not be able to do those. So please take a moment this weekend and maybe an hour and look over some of these videos, okay? It wouldn't hurt for you to go through all 5 of them before Monday of next week. Now, with that being said, I'm going to leave that up there so you can see it. Math 110-09 2020-10, last fall. Okay? So here we go. Completing the square. Why do we need to complete the square? Because it's the only one, write this down, it's the only one that's not restricted, and it's the only one that you don't have to use the calculator. Okay, when you're talking about factoring, you've got reverse FOIL, and you got the shortcuts. Those are restricted to only the polynomials that are factorable. Okay? And then you got what y'all were drug into in the high school, the quadratic formula. The quadratic formula should only be used with decimals. 2.21 x squared plus 3.26 x minus 17.1. That's when you use the quadratic formula. Completing the square is unrestricted. And it gives you not only the X intercepts, which is called the solution, but it also gives you the vertex. All right? And you only need to know 3rd grade math, or I won't say 6th grade math, fractions, to do addition, multiplication. You only need to know 2 shortcuts. You only need to know shortcuts number 1 and number 2 for completing the square. The rest of it is nothing but 100% math, basic math. That's why people want students to know, teachers want students to know how to use completing the square. Why don't they teach it? Because half the teachers don't know how to do it. Sad. Okay? So here we go. I'm going to start you off with level 1. Level 1 meaning easy. It's going to be given to you like this. F of x is equal to x squared plus 4x minus 7. Or it could be given to you like x squared plus 4x minus 7 equals 0. Either way, you're going to set it equal to 0. And that's what you're doing right here. The first thing you do is you set equal to 0. The second thing you do is you move C. So set equal to 0 is x squared plus 4x plus blank is equal to 7 plus blank. And I moved C and I added the blanks. Now, there are different ways of teaching completing the square. There's about 3 or 4 different methods of teaching completing the square. Why am I using this method? Because this method is the one that I've seen more students actually grab a hold of. In other words, they like to learn this method better. It's more sequential. It's more methodology, it's more methodical, and they can grab onto it better than the other methods. So this is the one that I choose to pick to teach. Now, I'm going to put this in red. Why am I putting step 3 in red? Because step 3 is the heart of completing the square. You take B, you divide it by 2, and you square it, and then you put it in the blanks. So 4 divided by 2 squared is 2 squared, and that's 4. And 4 goes here, and 4 goes there. Now, what does that do on the left-hand side? Time for a green marker. That makes shortcut number 1 or number 2 based on this sign. Shortcut number 1 or number 2 based on this sign, and this one is positive, so it's shortcut number 1. Now, if you don't know your shortcuts, you're going to suck at completing the square. So you need to learn at least shortcut number 1 and 2, not to suck at completing the square. And since I put that in green, I'm going to finish it in green. This is x plus 2, quantity squared, is equal to 11. And at this point right here, you have your vertex. So I'm going to go right here, and I'm going to say number 4, vertex. Vertex form and vertex. Now there's 2 things here, and I want you to make a note. Vertex form is not the way it's written right here. Vertex form is written like this. Okay, I want you to make a note of that. Sometimes the test will ask for vertex form, and you put an f of x in front of it, and you bring the 11 over, and that's vertex form. In vertex form, you take the opposite of this guy, and you rewrite this guy to get your vertex. So your vertex is equal to -2, comma, -11. This is your horizontal what? Your horizontal shift. And this is your what? Your vertical shift. Remember? Remember from chapter 2?
Yes.
Vertical and horizontal shift. There it is. Now, if you just want to write it from here, you just take the opposite of both. So that would be -2 and -11. Now that's the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it both ways for the first 4 or 5 problems. But afterwards, I'm going to stop doing the vertex form because they only want that on test and homework. And I'm just going to write the vertex. So you can write the vertex in 2 ways. You can write the vertex using the vertex form. Take the opposite of the first one, which is the horizontal shift, and then rewrite the vertical shift, and you get -2, -11. Or you can just take the opposite of both numbers and skip the vertex form. The vertex form is only for test and homework, because usually if you're working a problem by yourself, not having to type in the vertex form, you're just going to say, okay, the vertex is -2 and -11. And the third, the fourth, the fifth thing, and we're going to do it on the next page, solve for X intercepts. In the book, they call it the solution. Okay? So you're going to solve this problem right here on the next page. We're going to solve that for the X intercepts. So X plus 2 quantity squared X plus 2 quantity squared is equal to 11. Now, I'm going to do it 2 ways. I'm going to show you the way the book wants it, called exact, meaning that you're going to use the radical in the answer. And I'm going to show you approximate, which means you're going to take the square root of 11. Okay? You're not going to use the radical. So here we go. Take the square root of both. And you have X plus 2 is equal to the square root of 11. X is equal to positive or negative 11 minus 2. That is called the exact answer. You can rewrite it as -2 plus or minus the square root of 11. Also remember, what if this has a perfect square in it, like 27? Then you would take it to be square root of 9 times square root of 3, and then you would 3 times square root of 3. You've got to simplify your radicals. Okay, remember to simplify radicals. Let me write that down. Remember to simplify radicals, such as the square root of 27 is equal to the square root of 9 times the square root of 3, which is equal to 3 square root of 3. You've got to remember to do that with exact answers. Now, approximate, X plus 2 is equal to positive or negative. Well, the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 16 is 4. 9 and 16, half of that's 7. The square root of 12 is 3.5, so I'm going to say it's around 3.4, 3.3. I'm going to say 3.35. Somebody take the square root of 11 for me. Tell me what you get.
$3.316.
Okay, I'm off by 400, so I'm going to just say 3.1, 3.3. Okay, we're not building a spaceship here. We're sketching a graph. So that's the final product. We're sketching a graph. So 3.3 is close enough for government work. X is equal to positive or negative 3.3 minus 2. 3.3 minus 2, or $3.30 minus $2 is $1.30. That's one x-intercept. And then negative 5.3 is the other x-intercept. Now we have everything we need to graph this graph. What do you mean? Well, we have the previous page. Let's write down what we have. We have the y-intercept. That's the y-intercept. I need y'all to write this down for me because I got to take it to the next page. Y-intercept is -7. The vertex is -2, -11. And the x-intercepts are 1.3 and -5.3. So let's see what we got. Next page. DA graph. I believe the y-intercept was -7, was it? Was it not? Yes or no?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And my x-intercepts were, hold on, trying to get my colors together, 1.3 and -5.3. And somebody tell me what my vertex was.
-2, -11.
-2. This is 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Well, I say we got the sketch of a graph. That graph, well, sorry, I missed that one. There you go. And I missed the one on the right. I'm going to fix it because I don't want anybody saying I. There we go. And now we've written down everything we can write down. The domain is an x squared, so the domain is all real numbers. The range is from -11 to infinity, decreasing from -infinity to -4, I believe, or -2, and increasing from -2 to infinity. And the line of symmetry is x is equal to -2. And that's what I'm going to ask you to do on the test. And that's number 1 on the scale from 1 to 10. That's the difficulty level of 1. So let's go back to the original problem. There is your problem. And hopefully you have seen completing the square before. Yes or no, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
You have a work email.
I'm going to show you one more. And this one is going to be a little bit like a 3 or a 4. Let me go to a clean page. And x squared plus 3x minus 8 is equal to 0. What's different about this one? That means I want somebody to say something. What would be different as far as completing the square?
Honestly, don't know.
Okay, I heard. Sounded like one of those robots on Star Wars. Nobody see it? What's B?
3x or 3.
3. What's different? What's different when you divide by 2? Oh my God, you got a fraction and half of you fall off the face of the earth, like the blip. Right? Half of you will quit right there. X squared plus 3x plus blank is equal to 8 plus blank. And you got your K through 12 teachers to blame for it. Because the math used for a fraction is simple math. 3 divided by 2 squared is 9/4. Now, why was that hard? It's not hard. But you've been programmed to resist fractions because you didn't know how to do them. No, you were programmed to resist fractions because your teacher sucked or didn't teach you. Now, that's a double-edged sword. Sometimes students don't listen also. So you might have been taught, but you already knew everything, so you didn't need to learn how to do fractions. So it might have been that scenario also. So this is shortcut number 1. So x plus 3/2 quantity squared is equal to what? 32/4 plus 9/4. Now, if you're questioning what I just did, then you're one of those people that either didn't listen or you wasn't taught. What do you got to have to add or subtract fractions?
Common denominator.
So I just changed 8/1 into 32/4. You're fixing to go into calculus, trig and calculus. You should know how to do that. So x plus 3/2 quantity squared is equal to 41/4. I'm going to do the vertex form over here on the right because I really don't care about it. F of x is equal to x plus 3/2 quantity squared minus 41/4. And the vertex is negative 3/2 comma 41/4. And there's your vertex. Okay, I'm just going to go over to the side over here, and I'm going to say my vertex is negative 3/2 comma negative 41, should be negative, yeah, negative 41/4. I just took the opposite of both. And since I'm not worried about vertex form, I just took the opposite of both. They're the same thing. Okay? Now I'm going to solve it. X plus 3/2 is equal to the square root of 41 over 2. And X is equal to -3 plus or minus the square root of 41 over 2. And that is the exact way, but I'm going to go over here, since I got to sketch a graph, I want to know what the numbers are. What is the square root of 36? 6. What is the square root of 49? 7. So 36 and 49 is what, 13, I think? Half of 13 is 7. So 36 plus 7 is 43. That would be 6.5. So I'm going to say it's around 6.3, 6.4. Somebody take the square root of 41.
It's 6.4.
It's a miracle. 6.4 over 2. -3 plus 6.4. If I owe $3 and I got $6.40 in my pocket, then I'm going to have $3.40 left over. Half of $3.40 is $1.70. But y'all can't do math. You can do money, but you can't do math. -9.4, -3 and -6 is -9.4. Half of 9.4 is going to be 4.5, and then we're going to add that 7 to it. So I'd say it's going to be around 4. Let's see, 3, that's 9 point. I'm thinking out loud, hold on. 4.7. Let's see, 3, that's 9.4. 4.70. -4.70. Y'all check my math.
That's right.
Now, say again?
It's right.
Of course. All right, so we've got I meant to hit there's the y-intercept. I meant to hit here's our vertex. And here is our X intercepts. Now you're ready to draw the graph. And I'm not going to be able to, I'm just going to erase this right here. Because I can't remember all these numbers, and I'm not going to try to, and y'all won't communicate them to me unless I force you to. So, all right, so -1.5 and -10. -10 is down here. And -8 is right about here. And 1.7, 1, 2. And -5, 4.7. So there is your graph. All real numbers is your range. I meant your domain. Range is from -41/4 to infinity. Decreasing from -infinity to -3/2. Increasing from -3/2 to infinity. Line of symmetry is x is equal to 3/2. And that's about a number 3. Now, your homework for this weekend, I don't want you working on any homework. All your assignment is this weekend is to watch those 5 videos. Because that way, when I go over the stuff Monday and Tuesday or Monday and Wednesday, y'all won't be deer in the headlights. Okay? Yes, Hubert, we understand. Good. Glad you understand. Thank you for communicating. All right, I'm going to call the roll And I'm gonna let y'all go early today because I've got to take my